Last spring, at 9:47 on a Tuesday night, while I was reconciling a client's payroll at my kitchen table, my phone lit up with a message from Cancun. It was from Daniel, my husband. "I ran away with your sister. We're never coming back." I read it twice. Then I typed my reply and set the phone face down. Good luck. That was all he got. By midnight, every card was dead, every password changed, a locksmith booked. I did what I do best, I made a list and worked it. But the next morning, while the locksmith was drilling out the second deadbolt, a police cruiser pulled into my driveway. The question the detective asked me at my own kitchen table was one even I never saw coming. Welcome back to Lineage of Lies, where quiet women tell the stories nobody saw coming and dignity always gets the last word. If you believe a calm head beats a loud mouth, drop a comment below and be sure to subscribe. Numbers don't lie, people do. It took me 23 years to learn the second part. I married Daniel Ramsey when I was 19. He was the funniest man in Cedar Run, Ohio, a contractor. I was the quiet one. I became a CPA, opened my own office. For a long time, we were good. Then his construction business went under, and I built an 18-month payoff plan to clear the debt. He thought it was humiliation. He started calling me the family calculator, making jokes about asking the budget office. I believed quiet meant safe. It didn't. That Tuesday, I didn't cry. I locked down our online banking, canceled credit cards, moved my funds. I emailed Meg Doyle, the sharpest attorney in 3 counties. Then I opened the fire safe. Daniel's passport was gone. The cottage file, my grandmother's place at Miller Lake, felt thin. A cold voice, the one I use for audits, said, "This didn't start tonight." It had been running through my paperwork. My sister Brooke is 5 years younger. She's never finished paying anyone back. $9,000 from me over the years. Our grandmother, Harriet Hale, left me the cottage and a brokerage account. She left Brooke $10,000 in cash, gone in 4 months. Brooke resented me for it. But this past year she'd been sweet, asking about Daniel's schedule. That sweetness was overhead. She was covering expenses. At 11 that night, my mother called, crying. But she wasn't surprised. She begged me to keep it in the family. I circled her reaction on my legal pad and wrote, "Mom, since when?" The next morning, Detective Marsh arrived with news of a $40,000 wire out of my grandmother's trust account, to Mexico, signed with my name. The signature looped left. Mine breaks right, has since I was 9. I showed her my calendar. At the time of the signing I was with a client, on camera. Then Marsh asked the question that rearranged my life. "Has your husband ever signed for you before?" I remembered Daniel dropping off paperwork at the bank, Sundays, whistling. "Detective," I said, "I think you should tell me the status of that $40,000. It was frozen. I went to the filing cabinet. Statements were missing. I found a courtesy notice from First Meridian 18 months ago, and a letter from Gary Holt, Daniel's golf buddy and a loan officer, calling it a system error. I called the brokerage for duplicate statements. The mailing address on my grandmother's accounts had been changed to a P.O. box I never rented. All my financial mail had sailed right past me for 3 years. In Daniel's desk, I found a pamphlet for First Meridian's app. We didn't bank there. Then the duplicate statement arrived, a home equity line of credit for $90,000, secured against my cottage. The loan file was full of my forged signature, with Gary Holt as the loan officer. And the notary stamp belonged to a woman who'd moved to Tennessee 2 months before the closing date. Someone kept her stamp in a drawer. I laid it out, $90,000 on the cottage, $58,000 drained from my grandmother's brokerage, plus the frozen $188,000. Brooke's texts came. "The resort is threatening police. Is that what you want? Then, good luck. 23 years and that's all he gets." My own words. I didn't reply. The bank wasn't a bank anymore, It was a crime scene with a drive-through. If you've ever been the one who keeps the family books, the one everyone trusts to just handle it quietly, tell me in the comments, when did you learn that trust needs a paper trail? I learned it at my own kitchen table at 2 in the morning with an adding machine and a stack of forged signatures. If this story sounds familiar, hit subscribe. It gets worse before it gets better. I drove to my mother's house and asked how long she'd known. She'd seen them together 14 months ago, in his truck. I kept praying it would burn itself out. I said, "You didn't keep the peace, Mom. You just kept the secret." Then I went to the county recorder. There it was, a durable power of attorney, forged, granting Daniel full control over my finances. Created inside the bank on their template, using the same retired notary stamp. This was the skeleton key. Meg Doyle read it and took her glasses all the way off. "Carolyn, this is felony forgery, grand theft. A crime with a divorce attached. We built the machine, a forensic document examiner, a formal complaint, silence. Let him sit on that beach wondering why the money was frozen." The examiner confirmed 31 forged signatures, all simulated. The bank's internal investigation found Gary Holt's log entries altered. He was fired, reported to regulators, then he flipped. He detailed how Daniel brought pre-signed documents, how the power of attorney was drafted after hours. The lien was voided. The $40,000 wire reversed. Daniel's texts turned desperate, "Release the accounts and I'll sign anything." Then Marsh called with more. 34,000 of the stolen funds had landed in Brooke's account, memo lines, consulting. My sister had been on payroll. Here's the question I want you to sit with. If it were your sister's name on that account, your own blood, would you still press charges? Put your answer in the comments. I read every one, and subscribe if you want to hear what I chose, because there was a moment I almost didn't. I ran into Brooke in a parking lot. Her tan was peeling, her voice already breaking. "Grandma's money should have been half mine. You did her books to cut me out. Daniel just took back what this family owed me." There it was. She believed it was a debt she was collecting. I closed my trunk. The calculator is why you're not in jail yet. My mother brought a pound cake and asked me to drop the charges against Brooke. For the family. I told her, it isn't mine to drop. The prosecutor decides. I won't ask him to go easy. You protected the family name for 14 months. I'm going to protect the family truth. Those are different jobs. Daniel rejected a plea deal. He was certain I'd never testify. Caroline hates scenes. His lawyer would paint me as controlling. I prepared a binder, every tab a timeline. The night before trial, I sat in Grandma Harriet's cottage and signed my real name in the cover, our breaking right. In court, Gary Holt testified. The examiner's report mounted. Then I took the stand. I walked them through alibis, the client meeting, the jeweler's camera, the hotel folio from a CPA conference. On cross, the lawyer sneered, "You expect this court to believe $90,000 moved past you and you missed it?" I said, "I didn't miss the numbers, counselor. The numbers were hidden from me. There's a difference. And it's a felony." Then Daniel, against advice, took the stand. He ranted about my allowance, my rules, my grandmother's cottage. Finally, he shouted, "Yes, I signed her name. Somebody in that marriage had to act like a man." Then he pointed at me across the courtroom. "Say something. For once in your life, feel something." I sat still. The ceiling fan turned. The court reporter's keys ticked. He had confessed, and all I had to do was nothing. Guilty on all counts. 30 months, restitution $148,000. They brought him the paperwork to acknowledge the judgment. He took the pen, and his hand shook so badly he had to steady it with the other. His own signature barely held its shape, the first honest name he'd signed in 3 years. Mine, in the front row, was steady in my lap. As they led him past me in cuffs, he whispered, "Please tell them who I was for 23 years. I looked at him, no anger, no love, every line reconciled. Good luck. The doors swung shut. Brooke pleaded to receiving stolen property, a misdemeanor by the grace of cooperation, and got probation, community service, and a restitution schedule, the first thing she's ever paid back. Her apology letter came, still full of old arithmetic errors. I didn't reply. The payments are her real letter. The cottage is clean. My mother and I have a new arrangement. The first time she started to say, "If you just kept it private," I said, "Mom," in the tax season voice, and she never finished that sentence again. We keep the truth now, just with less pound cake. And my office? Women come in, farm wives, widows, a librarian from 2 counties over. They set papers on my desk and ask, "Carolyn, can you look at what my husband asked me to sign?" I always look. That part is always free. The new rule in my house: nobody signs for anybody. Not for convenience, not for kindness, not for love. Love doesn't need your signature. It needs your eyes open, your statements unredirected, and your name in your own handwriting, the breaking right, on everything you agree to, and nothing you don't. That's my story. 1 text, 1 short reply, and 31 forged signatures that finally put the right name on everything. If this story reminded you to pull your own statements or ask what your signature is attached to, do it this week. Share this video with a woman who needs it. Drop a comment, hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.